I'd like to welcome everyone to the Monday, June 23rd meeting of the Pine Bluffs Town Council. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item of business is agenda approval.
I move that we approve the agenda.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to the consent agenda.
Move we approve the consent agenda.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we're quickly on to new business. The first item of business is recommendation of award for the airport AWAS project.
Okay, I would like to talk through this a little bit. So we received one bid from Modern Electric. Getting bids for companies to do an AWAS project is, it's a little bit challenging. They're probably one of the only companies in the state of Wyoming that does such a project. They're not a common project. So generally you get it from an electric company like Modern Electric. And then they subcontract with a company like DBT that will do the AWAS piece of it. We are relocating the AWAS system further west, and so that's why the need for the electrician to come in and take care of that work. So with that one bid, overall, we had a budget shortfall for this project of $124,394. So the recommendation is that, so our current funding was a combination of federal, state, and local for a total of $497,895. We do have one more year of bill money that was not added into this project that we were going to use for a future project. So what we plan to do is pull in that last year of bill money, and that will help cover the remainder of this project. It will still be the same funding breakdown, where it's 95% federal, 2.5% state, and 2.5% local. The total project would come in at about $622. So again, I think that the way to go would be to pull in that bill funding. The problem is going to be, ultimately, is going to be a timing issue. So we won't have that final year of bill money until probably after the first of the calendar year. With that said, we will be awarding this project and starting on it before we have that final piece of funding in place. Alex, I don't see that as a problem because we did that resolution to lend ourselves money from the general fund to the airport fund until all funding was in place. That resolution was initially for us to be paying Ardura until the FAA got all the documents in line. But I think I would probably need to do another resolution once that funding is in place to carry us over on that last piece of bill funding.
Yeah, I'm working another angle on this.
Okay.
How time critical is awarding this bid?
Well,
I'm working on finding another company.
another company.
Yeah.
We would have to rebid it, wouldn't we?
For $100,000, that might be worth doing.
Okay.
But I can't get an answer right now.
Okay,
But I'm just saying, if you, and it may not amount to anything, okay?
sure.
But, you know, if it's possible without, you know, screwing things up, to postpone for a
To
meeting,
table this?
not table, that means kill it.
Oh, got it.
But postpone till the next meeting.
Okay,
I would at least like the opportunity to kind of check this around.
Yes,
and see
absolutely.
who might be out there,
got it, okay,
through other channels.
sure,
Yeah.
okay, yep.
But that means it's completely up to the council how you
Yes,
wanna work that.
absolutely.
Well, I mean, we don't have anything to compare this bid to, so it would be nice to
Yeah, it'd
see
be nice
if,
to have something.
to have
Okay.
something,
Absolutely.
I'm fine with
Is
that.
the AWAS functional right now?
Yes, there's one piece of it that is not functional.
Yeah. I don't know if I can pull up information on that or not.
Did we have an engineer's estimate on this that came along with it?
We
Yes,
did.
I'm assuming we overshot that then,
We did.
okay.
Why is the total 622 and,
The engineering fees are $171,511.
yikes. What needs to be engineered? That seems really excessive. And who's doing the engineering?
Our engineering, our airport consultant that we selected.
Ardura.
Ardura, yes,
That's a consultant?
yes. So,
That's the same one I just got. And Arduro's where that engineering bill came from, right?
for,
What'd you say about Arduro?
Ardura is our airport consultant, our airport
Oh.
engineers. So
Oh.
they're the ones doing the design and the construction.
Okay, that's where that
management of the project.
170,000,
Yeah, 171.5.
right, okay.
Plus, actually, it's 177.5 after you add in admin fees.
And, Madam Chair,
Construction piece of it, so the modern electric piece is 444,778.
yeah, and did Ardura have a recommendation on whether to accept the bid, or,
They made a recommendation to accept the bid.
I see,
They have worked with Modern Electric in the past, they have a good track record, they are a Wyoming-based company. So. I think that, let me look at black.
Over half of that is for the actual new AWAS itself, correct?
Correct. Let me bring that up real quick.
Kevin said the ceiling is out and the wind is intermittent, so there are some sensor issues with that
Yes.
AWAS.
yeah, wind might be important.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because of the age of that AWAS, purchasing replacement components is pretty much impossible, yeah.
Do we jeopardize, is there any downside to tabling this for a month?
I would have to reach out to Josh on that, but, you know, it's,
Could it still get done this year?
it would have to get done this year. in order for us, because the bill money comes in different year groups. We will lose our first year of bill money if we don't get this thing on the road.
So putting it off is, I mean,
Putting it off could be
it's not an
tough,
option.
Yeah.
so, but let me bring up,
Kim, does this throw, like, do you essentially have to resubmit and, like, do you have to throw the RFP back out then
we
if we were
would.
doing
So
this?
realistically, if we pushed this off to the next meeting, which isn't for another 3 weeks, July 14th, then I would have to advertise for another 3 weeks. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we're looking at a month and a half out. I've got to have this under contract and in place by September. So it actually, looking at it time-wise that way, it might be
It might-
putting us in a little bit of a pinch.
Yeah.
Do you know if they ever, did they, have any dialogue with the bidder?
They may have. I don't know the specifics.
Sometimes, you know,
You said they'd worked with them before, though?
Yes. So they're confident in their abilities to get the job done.
I don't know, having the wind go in and out, that makes me a little nervous. Especially with how windy it gets around here.
And again, if we lose 1 year of bill money, we're losing like $125,000,
We
so,
wouldn't like to save anything.
right.
Gotcha. So it's better to perhaps go through this.
keep talking,
Okay, I have nothing more to say.
coming here.
Dave, does Kevin have any input on like a time frame on a lifespan? I guess to help Alex get
Yeah,
some.
I don't have that information yet. I will ask him that.
What the state budget for ours, was it 150,000?
What's that? Oh, the
This-
state
this-
budget for ours? I'm sorry, hang on one second.
Yeah,
15,000. So the state budget is only 2.5%. The FAA portion, federal, is 95%. So the majority of that is coming from the feds, and that's why we're using bill money there too. I mean, that's what includes bill money.
I'm not understanding this because
So the local share of this project is 15,500. We originally budgeted, I think, for 18,000, but 15,500. Because I thought it was originally 4%, now it's 2.5.
and the bid was about 445.
Yeah, 444, 7 something, 770.
444, 778.
Almost there, guys, sorry. But, see, we're showing a state contribution of 150,000 on an AWAS. I don't know why there'd be that much difference in what the state's contributing.
Who is?
Cheyenne.
Well, is their AWAS like 10 times as expensive as ours?
I don't know, that's what I'm trying to find out.
You wouldn't think it would be.
Yeah, it's a
No.
percentage,
Yeah.
so that would
Weather
mean their
observation
thing would have to be,
system.
Yeah, and it might be.
When was theirs put in?
Currently, working on it right now.
what company's putting it in?
I don't think we know yet.
Oh,
That's what I was trying to find out, but I sent our total. And they're grouching about the state only budgeting $150,000. So I'm lost, I'm a lost child on this, folks. I don't know whether I'm helping or not. Could we pause this and go on so that we're not wasting your time and
Yeah, we
come
can,
back to it in a minute or two?
sure, yep, we can, move on to the fireworks discussion for a moment. Everyone's favorite discussion. With the 4th of July holiday coming up, I think questions are already, rolling in on whether or not we would allow for fireworks to be, lit off by our residents. So, Austin, if you would like to start off the discussion, that would be great.
Sure. So I think in previous years, there was rules about lighting off in the street. As a lover of 4th of July and how wide our streets are, as long as you're right in front of your house, I personally do not see a problem with it, as long as you're not doing it in the middle of the road. That's where I think the issue arises, at least from a law enforcement perspective, and you're privy to any overhead trees or power lines, things like that. But I would say, as far as the road, because I've noticed that in previous ones before I arrived, that you had to do it in your driveway. You couldn't do it in the road. That's one section where I would, if you're right in front of your house or right off your driveway in the curb area where you would park and you're lighting them off there, personally, I don't see an issue with that. As far as time period goes, after talking with Kim and quite a few people, with the 4th following on a Friday, I think a lot of people, some people do work. I think a lot of people are, meet probably their family on Saturdays. I wouldn't be against allowing it on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on the 5th.
So instead of the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, which I think we've done in the past,
Yeah.
3rd, 4th, 5th.
Yep, because it falls, the 4th Friday falls on a Friday, we should, I think including Saturday would be fine. But it's really up to you guys. And
I'd be in favor of that. What do you guys
Well,
think?
we've been doing this now for how many years? And
Ever since I've been on council.
it hasn't been a problem.
no, since I've been here, we haven't had an issue.
That's what I was.
Since I've been here, we haven't even had an issue on top of the hill either. So, which is great.
It's pretty green right now, so
Yeah.
I'm less concerned about fire.
Very fortunate in
Right.
the past few weeks, yeah.
So I think, putting out the message out there of the do's and don'ts, and that we, won't, that if you light a firecracker on top of the hill, you're gonna get a citation, period. I think keeps people from doing it, but, and we haven't had a single call up there for 2 years, so which is good.
Cool.
Yeah.
So the last call up there was 3 years ago, so.
Do you remember what we did for times?
12 PM to 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
12 to 11,
Thank you.
and I think we did till 12 on the 4th.
Yeah, I think it was a little later, like an hour
Yeah.
past.
Because
So on
usually
the
they
actual
run-
4th, I think it was 12, but then, what you don't want is 9 o'clock and people start lighting some stuff off. and,
Yeah.
Some people don't work till later on in the evening, so, I think 12 to 11 was great for that. I think going till the 11.
12.
Going till 12 on the 4th would suffice.
Yeah. I agree.
So, I'm sorry, did you say till midnight on the 4th or 11?
Midnight.
Midnight,
Midnight, okay. Just that one day,
yes.
okay,
Otherwise, the 3rd and the 5th will go to 11.
yeah.
Does it take a motion or do we just?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say the only difference to the past would be to allow them to light off fireworks in front of their house. I would just,
Right.
Want to know input on the discussion of, I'm not privy to why that was the case in the past, so that's kind of why I'm asking.
I don't even know if it was.
I thought everybody was doing it in the streets last year.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're doing it any,
I think
Well,
it's,
it's never been part of the discussion
no,
before.
I don't
Well,
remember
it's
it being
actually
part
kind
of.
of safer because you have this big concrete.
Yes.
yeah, a lot of people, so I noticed there were some people doing it and they were like, hey, is this okay? And that's, as far as I'm concerned, yeah. And then there's some people doing it in their grass because previous, years, they were told they couldn't and they had to do it on their property. So that's why I'm asking. I think, you know, I'm gonna change the Facebook post to account for that they need to do it in the curbed area of their street, but not in the middle of the street, which we haven't had a problem with that either.
I think that's great.
Yep.
I would just encourage people to make sure that they are mindful of the trash and help
Yes.
clean up.
Yeah. Yep. And even then, we haven't had much of an issue other than yours.
It all goes.
Some things landing where, you know, where you can't avoid and some people don't like it and.
Yeah.
So those calls you'll never avoid. But we're okay with that. So if that's the worst of it,
Right.
then I'll take it.
Great.
I would move that we, allow fireworks to be set off between July 3rd and July 5th, 12 PM to 11 PM, with the exception of midnight on the 4th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we allow fireworks on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of July from noon to 11, with the exception of the 4th of July being midnight. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Austin.
Yeah, thanks, Austin.
I've reached out, oh, go ahead.
I will just note, because we won't have a council meeting, until after this, the, 10th, it's on a Thursday, is our neighborhood night out. So we'd like to invite everyone out to that event. We're looking to have another fun year. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
That's where, at Rear Park, is that where it's gonna be
Yep,
again?
where we do the hot dogs,
hot
hamburgers,
dog,
and,
cool.
we'd like to do the bike, so I'll be talking with you after.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah, count me in.
I reached out to our airport consultant, and he is available for me to put him on a call if you would like him to jump on here also. And as far as Cheyenne goes, the state is buying all commercial service airports a backup AWAS system. That is why Cheyenne has that money.
Because it's a commercial.
Because they're commercial.
Cool.
But would you like me to get Josh on the phone so you guys can
That'd be good.
get some stuff cleared up?
Sure.
I also would like to state that, when it comes to the airport engineering services, anything over a certain dollar amount, I think it's 125,000, we had to go out and get, an independent fee estimate, or an independent IFE. Independent fee estimate done by a third party, and what they do is they look at the engineering fees, they compare it to what it should be, and if they're within a couple of % of that, then their fee stands, which we already had that process done a couple of months ago, and
That's for the engineering.
that's for the engineering piece of it, yes. But I will get Josh on the line right now.
Thank you, Kim.
Well, I'm not seeing any reason not to do it at this point.
But they're currently closed, Kim.
Wrong number, sorry. I didn't call his cell number. Hey Josh, this is Kim from the town of Pine Bluffs. I'm gonna put you on speakerphone with our town council and town engineer. Okay, thank you. Hey everybody, this is Josh Morris.
Hey Josh, thanks for joining us. So I guess to start off, one of the things that I think we were all a little concerned about was that we had one bid come in. Do you think that's pretty commonplace right now?
I think so. I will tell you, we reached out to, I could look back on how many bidders we reached out to, but it was probably a dozen. And then honestly, getting any traction was tough. And it has to do with the project size. I mean, when you're under $1 million and bidding a federal project on an airport, it's really tough. Specifically, they have to have airport experience. And so, you know, Modern is pretty much probably one of the only electricians in the state that's willing to like work on airports. So that's the hard part.
Okay. And you have experience working with them and you're confident in their abilities to do this project?
So I've never actually worked with Modern. I'll be clear on that, but my colleagues all have, you know, at Rock Spring, I know they work with them at like Cowley and a few other airports. I think Modern is very professional and a very good company. I will tell you, the Rollins Airport, which is my client, when they have anything go wrong with their stuff, I tell them to just call Modern to get it fixed. And I think they've always done a good job getting things, you know, up to snuff and where it needs to be. So I think they're the right. I don't have any concerns with them doing a bad job, is what I would say.
That's helpful.
Where are they based out of?
What's that?
Where is Modern based out of?
They're out of Casper.
Casper, so they're not.
Yep.
Does anyone else have any questions for Josh while we have him?
I guess the only question I would have, Josh, Alex Davison here, is there any possibility that they might work with us a little bit on the bid price?
I was thinking about that, and we potentially have the option to negotiate the bid when we only have a single bid. But being realistic, I don't know what we negotiate out of the project. I mean, it's pretty bare bones. I think the only thing we would have to negotiate is we put in a little gravel road and a small gravel pad to go around that. And so I don't think there's nothing for them to negotiate. Negotiating that work out, I don't think is going to gain you much in value.
Yeah, if you look at that bid breakdown, the AWAS system itself is that expensive piece that comes in at $357,000.
Yeah.
I would assume that's the cost for DBT.
Yeah, so that's basically that cost incorporates the AWAS itself, getting it installed. So it's got to have a foundation, running the wires to it, and then, yeah, that's going to pay DBT to get it certified with the FAA. They got to get an FCC license with that for the radio. Even though it already has a radio, they still have to do a new one, is my understanding. And then, yeah, then really the only other bid items are the mobilization, which is capped at 10%, and then the conduit, which also includes the cost of the wire for the AWAS.
Yeah, Josh, I looked at this a while back, so I'm kind of hazy on this, but I think the engineer's estimate is like 100 and change below that line item on the bid.
Yep.
Which seems like that's a pretty big leap. What happened there? Did have a pretty dramatic price increase in the equipment, or what's going on there?
I don't know if it was lack of competition that might have driven that or what, but I mean, when we were developing that estimate, we had reached out to DBT, and they had given us their cost for the equipment, and I could go back and pull that up, what they say that they cost, and then we added up everything else that was incidental to that to come to that price. And then we had, these honestly don't get built all that frequently. We had done one in 2015 in Wheatland. That was probably the last one done in Wyoming, so that's 10 years ago. And that one was a weird one too, because the state had already owned that AWAS. It was just installation. And then we had done one in Gooding, Idaho in 2019, and we looked at one that was done in Washington in 22. So that's where we were basing our pricing off of after conferring with the DBT as well.
And just so you are all aware, DBT is our current AWAS maintenance company. So that's what they do, is the AWAS systems.
Yeah, and just to clarify that too, there's only 3 companies that are certified to build the actual AWAS system. There's DBT, there's Mesotech, and there's another company called All Weather. And I think DBT and All Weather are actually the same company. And Mesotech, they pretty much told us they weren't interested. So there could be some of that too, where DBT is, who knows where it breaks down on how much DBT is increased to that versus modern. But
So, Josh, where does the actual hardware, AWAS hardware, come from? Is it like one of 3 companies that manufacture it or maintain it?
So the actual hardware, that's the DBT,
Okay.
the Mesotech, and then the All Weather. So really, it's truly, there's 4 companies total. There's basically 3 companies that can build the AWAS that we need here, because there's another one, but they don't meet the requirements, and it has to be a federally certified program.
Okay.
Yep.
I think that's it. All right.
Answered my questions.
Thank you for your time, Josh. That was helpful.
No, thank you, and anytime you guys need anything, just let me know. I'm happy to talk through it. So
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so as requested, I concur.
Great.
Well, I move that we approve the AWAS installation as bid.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to award the AWAS project recommendation to Modern Electric as bid. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. On to visitor comments. Anything today? No, I'm fine. All right, department reports, Jana? Nothing. Dave?
I don't have any either.
Great. Just a few quick things of housekeeping from our WAM summer conference. We did a bylaw overhaul that had been neglected for quite some time, so that just needed to be done. That was the big item, as well as changing the legislative process. We used to, as all of you probably remember, or Jana, we used to do those resolutions every May, and it put WAM just behind as far as having legislative priorities and knowing how to move through the session. As things are flying at us really rapidly in the current climate of the legislature, it just felt really important to change that and have a different approach to that. So now we're using our regional meetings to have region priorities, and then the region priorities are sent on to the legislative committee, and they can kind of help filter those out. And I think it'll be really streamlined and help, hopefully, legislatures legislature know where we stand, where our priorities are, and help us with some interim topic things if those ever come up as well. So Ashley and the team have been working really hard on that, and those are our big changes for WHAM as of July 1. So that's about it for me. Dennis?
The Eastern Laramie County landfill has 100% completed their Chapter 6 permitting, so they're now approved to go on to design the transfer station, and that's being worked on currently. They're working on layout and design of the transfer station, and beyond that, nothing new there.
Thank you. Alex?
We're behind.
Okay.
Always shoot straight with the client.
Austin, anything else for you?
No way.
Great. Leanne?
Just a few things. We posted on Facebook and our website. I wanted to remind citizens about building permits. We've had several pop up in the last couple weeks that don't have building permits. Just to remind citizens to come into town hall, fill out the form. It's pretty easy. Do it legally so we don't have to send our police officers over to visit with you about it. Also, I wanted to remind citizens about bulk pickup. That is free for anybody in town, but we need to know about it. Like, don't just put your stuff out on the curb. We are not gonna assume that we should pick it up, so give us a call and we're more than happy to come get it.
That's a really nice service.
That is a very
It is a
nice
very
service.
nice service, yes,
Very good reminder.
yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kim?
Well, hand in hand with Leanne's reminder is my reminder to keep an eye on your noxious weeds, as well as, you know, maintaining your property in a neat and tidy order. You know, we're not out there measuring grass by all means, but there's a few properties that, you know, just need a little reminder to get out there and make sure for the health, welfare, and safety of your neighbors that we don't have a breeding ground for any rodents or snakes or things of that nature. So we've started looking at some different properties and sending out some reminder notices, and I believe that the chief has also been reaching out to some folks and reminding them, but again, if you have any questions about our nuisance ordinance and to what extent you need to take care of business, if you could just give us a call. And if you have a question about what is considered a noxious weed and what is not, you can go to the Laramie County Weed and Pest website, and that gives a complete breakdown of what are considered noxious weeds and even photos of what they look like. The north property is moving along. On Tuesday, July 15th, we will have a public input meeting on our pedestrian and ADA walkway study. This is a master plan that is being done in regard to public walkways throughout the community. Once we have this study complete, that opens the door for us to apply for more grant money to turn around and really put some effort into improving our walkways and making them more accessible for everybody. The following day, on Wednesday, July 16th, we will have a public meeting, and that will be all about our north property. Our real estate agent will be here on hand to discuss this with residents who are interested in properties out there, and we will all be there to discuss the property as well as give a brief presentation. That will start at 5:30 p.m. We'll have some light refreshments. It will be here in this building in the multipurpose room. The same with the other meeting on Tuesday for the walkway study. That will also be held here in this building at 5 p.m. Again, that project is moving forward. We anticipate the majority of that to be drivable and viewable after that meeting in July. They will still be working on construction, but I think that folks will have a better view of where the lots are. We'll have some signage up and things of that nature by that date. We're continuing to work through the audits and just closing out the fiscal year, which ends on June 30th, and we start our new fiscal year July 1st.
Thank you. Anything else from anyone? All right. Announcements and meetings? Leanne?
Next town council workshop will be Monday, the 14th. We've changed that date we've moved it up, but at 4:30, and then the regular town council meeting will be that same day, Monday, July 14th at 6.
Excellent. All right. Any other business that should come before the council?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Who's that?